Happy Friday! How's everyone doing today? Just a quick video today because I'm working on mini open house items and I have one day left. Mini open house is tomorrow. RSVP if you haven't done so by about noon today, so I know you're coming. And let's see where I'm at. Just want to make sure the camera has picked me up. There we go. There I am. Let's go a little bit this way. Keep us more in focused. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. So, this is, if you don't know already, because I've used it I don't know how many times, this is the stamp of the month for July. S2207, Voice of the Sea. I absolutely love this one. I hope that you get it this month and enjoy it and share what you did. And I'm also using Mermaid Lagoon, which is one of our newer colors. I'm using a retired item, which is these beautiful gems. And this is Z5030, and this is the Lagoon. Look on the retired list and see if you can find those. And the Ranger is Z4521 for the Oxide Ink Mermaid Lagoon. Got a couple of my images, and I'm just going to take this and make it pretty. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is bring in some black ink, permanent black ink, if you will. I'm going to stamp up my image and put it kind of in the middle of this bottom section, and then I'm going to ink it up again, and I want to add another, making sure that if you ever have a little bit of this going on, that you wipe that off, because as I'm going around and stamping, I don't want to get anything else on there. So I just added that. I'm going to bring in a paper towel. Just keep my surface area clean because I'm going to do a little bit of kind of around this. So I'm just taking this coral, again I'm going to wipe that off, and I'm just adding it to the base of this piece of paper. Just want a little bit more. Okay, maybe one more. Oops, see, and I didn't wipe it off. So it's probably underneath, but that's okay. And I'm using my all-purpose mat. I'm going to add one more little bit right here. Again, wipe off my mat. So that's the base of that. Then I took this stamp image and I printed a couple of them onto white cardstock, and I fussy cut those out. So I have those. And now I'm going to get rid of this black ink. Don't need that anymore. Try not to get it all over yourself. Okay. I'm going to turn my paper towel around so it's not on that black ink. So I'm going to need that next. So I cut those out. Don't need those. I'll set these aside for just a minute. And I'm going to bring in my card base. Make sure it opens the right way. And my Mermaid Lagoon. I just love saying that. Mermaid Lagoon. And I'm going to actually tap it off on there. And what I want to do is I want to make the corners dark. And I want to make sure I bring it down enough that it's more than 1/4 of an inch in. And it doesn't matter if it's kind of blobby. That kind of adds to blobby, new word. It kind of adds to the beach kind of water feel, if you will. So I'm just getting some color on here. When I feel like there's too much on here, I'm going to wipe it off. I don't want that transferring to the back of my card. Continue around. And you notice I'm going around so that way I have somewhere to put my hand. It's not exactly in the, because you can get like fingerprints if you're not careful. Other thing I like to do is put just like a light coat on, and then when you go back and add a little darker color, it has something to grab onto, and it's worked itself into the fibers with that light color, so that way it will blend better. Okay, and that's plenty. So I'm going to wipe that off again, get rid of that excess, and hopefully I didn't get too much to the back of the card. Oh, pretty good. Look at that. Ta-da! Let's put this away. And let's do a little bit of water droplets. So just got a water bottle here. I'm just going to go down and give it some nice water drops. So that way the oxide ink will oxide and do what we want. Remember, you're only going to see this outer quarter edge of the paper, so it doesn't make sense to do any more than that. And I'm also going to mist it a little bit. Oops, I sprayed my table. Mist it a little bit. The finer the mist, the more ocean-like it kind of gets you. Okay, and then quickly wipe all this water off as much as possible, because this is not watercolor cardstock. Okay, now we want to heat that up just a smidge, keep it straight, and I have a couple of big blocks to put on it to weigh it down, kind of help my card to not do that. So it'll help with the curls a bit. I'll let that dry for a second. And give that a good smush. Smush, smush, smush. Okay. We just want to see how pretty that makes it look, so oceany. I think it's better than my first one. And that's the idea. Remember, you're going to have different, everyone's going to be different. So while we're waiting for that to dry, let's bring in our fishies, and I want to raise one up with some foam tape. Sorry, should have had this done earlier. So I'm using the thinner foam tape and the thinner of the two thicknesses, widths, if you will. And sometimes I like to cut it in half, so that way it's a little thinner. So I put it where I want it. So that's all I'm doing here, is just loading up my foam tape on my and then sometimes I even cut that in half. I can get in the little nooks and crannies. I'm not going to worry too much about that little wispy part. Okay, so now I'm going to peel off that and put my fishy down. Hold on. Get all this off of here. Oh, you probably hear my husband in the background there. It's on the phone. Alright, let's put this little guy right there. Oh, you can see just a little bit of that foam. So I'm going to take this piercing tool and just tuck it in. Alright, so this next one, what I want to do is I want to put a lot of adhesive on the little parts. And I'm going to pull it over here to my mat, so that way I can get that little tail. And I want to stick this onto here. Then I'm just going to take some big scissors because it's easier to reach all of it. The little ones would have worked fine, but sometimes that's helpful. Just some big scissors that I got. And then I want to put this one, like he's swimming down. So I'm just going to, and that's just a little extra adhesive that rubs away, which is really nice. And we're going to cut this extra little bit off. And there we go. And then I brought some, I just happen to have another stamp set sitting here because, hello, I'm doing open house. And I like the Just Thinking of You just fit right there. And this is a really pretty one. This is from one of the card kits. And it's the Crisp Air card kit. It's, oh, it's got a different number. CM005. Never seen that before. But there again, it's the Crisp Air card kit, card making kit. And so I said, oh, that'll work. So I'm going to actually ink this up in the Mermaid Lagoon because it'll be really pretty. Make sure my card's straight. Put that on. See how pretty that is? Now you could just wait for it to dry, but I'm just going to heat set it a little bit so we don't smear anything. Kind of think of it as kind of like pigment ink. It will wait till you heat it up so you can oxidize it like we did here. Alright, let's see if we're ready with our background. Looking pretty good, pretty flat, and you can just manipulate the cardstock a little bit. Let's pull this over. I don't need quite as much now. And all this stuff out of the way. And we will take some of our pretties, just put them there. And I'm going to use some tweezers, and I'm going to use some of this mono glue. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. Actually, first I think we should put this onto the card. And of course I'm going to run out of adhesive. So here's a good tip on how to replace these. First you want to make sure your lid is up. And then, oh, there's a button down here. See the little arrow? Lift it up. Wow, I never knew that. There's a little arrow right there. Hopefully you can see it. Take the old one out. Throw that away. Put a new one in. It only goes one way. Close the lid. And we're back in business. Just that easy. I'm putting a little bit more glue than I normally do because I want that to stay kind of flat on there. And how I measure. I put it on the line. I know I have about 1/4 of an inch, so I want to make sure that I get those 2 points there and there. Whoop, keep it straight. Put it there, and then we put that down. Okay, and see how pretty that looks? It looks like it's in the ocean, but yet you don't have to color everything in. So, a couple ways of doing this. One, you can put a glob of glue on there, or you can dab some glue onto here. Pick up your tweezers and set those down into the glue. And obviously you're going to have to let these sit a bit. Now, when I'm picking these up, I'm not squeezing really hard, because if you do, they're going to fly everywhere. It's kind of like itty bitties too. So you can also, hold still. You can also pick them up, dip them in, and do it that way. And you're gonna, gonna have to let this dry. And then it's even better when you get a little bit on your tweezers, because then it kind of sticks to the gem. And really, so many problems with a little gem. Now I tried this with our pickup tool, and it does work, but because I'm using the point side up, it kind of got some of that wax on the tip of the gem, and that was kind of made it look cloudy, if you will. Okay, now I'm not going to continue with this because I'll show you the other finished one, and I'm just going to pick those up with my fingers, and always put the lid on so they don't go everywhere. And here's the one that's done, and see how different they are? I had much more color on this one, but this one kind of looks like coral around the edges a little bit. And there you go. That's the card for today. You don't always have to color all those in. And I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, and when you're done with this, just, oops, I missed a gem. Just wipe it off, and it'll come right off of your all-purpose mat. Hope you ladies have a lovely day, and you gentlemen out there too. And I will see you next time. I'll put these in the close-up and talk to you later. Ta-ta!